Okay, so the name of my workshop today is MUN Procedures Explained, but first I'll introduce myself. Like I said, my name is Emily. I lived in Thailand for around 5 years and I've done MUN for around the same time. I'm part of the secretariat team in my school and I'm super excited to see how you guys interact with this workshop. I saw some of you introducing yourself in the chat box, which is really nice to see. And if anyone else would like to introduce themselves, that'd be great. Here. Okay, I'll continue now. Sorry. So for today, first I'm going to be explaining how the MUN goes, and that's from the beginning of the MUN conference. That means from the moment that you sign up all until the closing ceremony. And please note that this is for the MUN procedure. There's a lot of other procedures, but this one is specifically for MUN. And we'll see later that there's more procedures in the continuous of the workshop. So first you'll start by signing up to the MUN conference with your coordinators and you will check the dates, fill up a permission slip, all the standard things and hand it in, allocate yourself to a country. And then afterwards you'll be representing a country in the conference. And so because you're representing one country, you should try to make it a country that you're more interested in and into a committee that has a topic that you're more interested in. So that way your research could be more interesting for yourself and that way you'll be a lot more dedicated to it. So yeah, you're going to be needing to do a lot of research during the before the conference. But allocations actually go away pretty fast. So you should, after you find the country and you do the research and all, you should like choose it quite quickly so that way you can you'll have the country that you want to research about and do the MUN about. So after you do your research, you have to start writing your position papers and you're going to be needing to do the research and the research will help you a lot with actually writing the position paper. And a lot of conferences actually provide a chair background guide. And so that will help you a lot with your research as well. It would be wise to read that in order to gain some background information on the topic. And you should also do your individual research as well, because it won't be that specific into your country. So it would be good to have a specific idea about your country. And during this time, you should also research about other countries as well. So that way you can have like an inside knowledge about the other countries, and that'll help you later with your resolution writing and having just having more knowledge on the actual room of on the committee room. Yes, that'll help you a lot with the debating part. So afterwards, during this workshop, I'll be like mentioning a few sources which would help you with your research, and I hope that'll be useful, but that'll be later in the day. And yeah, with the research, you'll need to create your position paper, as I just said, and I'll be explaining that as well in later time of the conference. And on the morning or the night of the conference, you should ensure that your clothing follows the guidelines of an MUN conference, as you're expected to dress appropriately. And this means for the girls to wear either a dress or a shirt or a blouse, formal pants or skirts, and that means no jeans or leggings. And you should ensure that your skirt or your dress is under the knee. Formal shoes are also required, and that means something like flats maybe, and blazers are also encouraged. And for the boys, they would need to wear a formal shirt, an optional tie, formal pants, and jeans are not allowed. And also blazers are recommended as well for the boys. And also formal shoes, that means no trainers. Now we'll move on to the actual conference. So after you arrive, you'll have to check in and receive your badges, your delegate packs, all the standard things. And then you'll sit through the opening ceremony, introducing the MUN conference in session, and you'll have some keynote speakers to introduce it as well. Afterwards, the speakers in the opening ceremony will provide you to your committee, where you will need to find your delegation placard on the desk and sit down at the desk which says your country. You'll then get your necessary items like your computer, maybe some pen and paper, and then you also need to connect to your Wi-Fi, and then roll call will start. And that's when your country when your country is called, and then you'll say present and voting. You'll have to raise your placard and say that. If you don't say present and voting, then you won't have voting rights during the conference. So it's really important that you say present and voting. Afterwards, you'll be able to present your opening speeches, where you'll be called upon also in alphabetical order. And don't forget, you'll be in moderated caucus during this time. And this means that you must maintain decorum. And make sure you listen to everyone's speeches and keep track of those who share similar views to you. This will help with the resolution writing, as will the researching about other countries in the committee, as I mentioned before. So afterwards, after you do the roll call and your position papers, you'll move on to resolution writing. And this is also called lobbying. You'll be an unmoderated caucus, and so this means that you can walk freely and talk to others, and should try to find some allies who share similar views and start to write a resolution. Some people come with the clauses prepared, and this is always a good idea, but this will help you later on in this workshop on how to specifically write the resolution, as that's part of our agenda as well. And after you write your resolution, the main submitter will have to get it vetted by an MUN advisor, and then after it's checked by them, then that is when the debating will begin. So after this, the chairs will entertain, after everyone reads the resolution, there will be, after everyone reads the resolution, and this will be either done by the main submitter reading it, or the chair will provide some time for the delegates to actually read the resolution. This usually depends on the chair, but either way, you'll read it, as everyone will read it at the same time, and then you will have a chance to ask any points of clarification. And I'll explain that later as well. That's also part of the agenda. But point of clarification simply means that if there's any vague clauses or terms which you don't understand, then you would raise your placard and wait for the chair to call on you. And after this, the chair will entertain for and against speeches. This is where each delegate will state if they think that the resolution should pass or should not pass. So these are usually around 1.5 to 2 minutes long. And afterwards, the delegates can question these by asking a POI, that's a point of information, which the chair will open to the committee. And I'll also be explaining that later. And after you go through this procedure and hear a few for and against speeches, and you'll make a few POIs, and the debate will continue, then you will vote on the resolution. And that's when you would decide if the resolution should pass or if it should not pass. If you pass, it's obviously a really good thing. And after the day ends with the closing ceremony, as well as the best delegate awards per each committee, then you'll say goodbye to everyone which you meet, and the conference would end. You'll make a lot of friends during the MUN conference, most likely. And that's what a typical MUN procedure would look like. So now I'm going to also show a short video to explain it a bit more clearly. I found this on YouTube, and hopefully this will help you understand it better. Sorry. Can everyone hear it? Can someone give me like a thumbs up or unmute if they could hear it before?
No.
Can you hear it now?
No,
You're going
there's no audio.
to start your screen share, and you have to allow sound for it to come through.
Pardon?
So you're going to have to go to screen share, and you're going to have to start a new screen share, and you have to say allow sound sharing or something like that.
Oh, I should share computer sound. Thank you. Okay.
So what is MUN anyway?
Is it okay now?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, fine.
Yeah, works out.
Model United Nations, or MUN for short, is a simulation of the real-life UN, United Nations. You take the place of the delegate of a country or an international organization. The aim of the council is to find a solution to the problems you'll be given as a topic before your conference. Just like in the real UN, you'll have the chance to draft resolutions and find a lasting solution to some important issues today, like climate change, the refugee crisis, and more. The aim of the United Nations in real life is to prevent conflicts and promote international cooperation. It's a forum for countries to express their views and make decisions together. To do this, there are numerous organs in the UN, such as the General Assembly, the Economic and Social Council, the Security Council, the International Court of Justice, and many more. In MUN, you'll get a chance to try to be a part of this. Resolutions are at the heart of MUN. They are a set of rules and guidelines that countries in the world generally follow about a whole range of things, including human rights, carbon emissions, and war. In real life, these are drafted and debated throughout weeks and months, and they require input from a lot of people, like member states, experts, and even NGOs. MUN is all about cooperation, not competition. It's not a race to beat other people. It's about how well you can work together and overcome your differences in opinions. As a delegate of a country, you'll have to play your part by sticking to your foreign policies, but also knowing when you need to compromise with others for the better good. Different conferences have different formats for running a council. Prominent examples include THIMUN, the Hague International Model United Nations, HMUN, Harvard Model United Nations, and many more. MUN helps you pick up soft skills like research, communication, critical thinking, and creativity.
Okay. Okay. I hope the video helped
So
you.
what is...
Sorry. I hope the video helped you understand it a bit more. And is there any questions at this point about what it is? Sorry if I went too fast. Would anyone like to ask any questions? Oh, sorry, I didn't see the chat. I can see the chat box. Yeah, is there any questions? Oh yeah, I'll be talking about resolutions later. Wait, I'll show you. This is the agenda for the day. So we have the position papers, terminology, and resolution writing. And after each section, I'll provide any like questions needed. Great. Are there any other questions? Okay. If there's no more questions, I think I'll move on. Oh, sorry. Okay. What are position papers? Are there another term for policy statements? Well, because there's different procedures, I'm not quite sure about policy statements, what they are, but position papers are the same as the opening speeches, if that's, it's basically where, I'll explain that also in depth, but it's basically where you provide like some information about your country relative to the topic. I'll explain it a bit more in depth afterwards. That's the next part of the agenda, actually. Yeah, I'm not sure what policy statements are, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I think they're the same too. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I think I'll move on. Is there anyone else? Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we'll move on to the more specifics, like the position papers. So writing a position paper is actually quite a simplistic task, but many delegates find difficulties with this. And so this activity is crafted like to help you improve. So position papers describe where you and your country stands on various policies. Yeah, basically, it's all in this section of the workshop. If there's any questions afterwards, I can explain. After the position paper section, please ask, because I think it'll clarify more. You can go on with the presentation and take questions at the end. That's the okay. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, it's quite a simplistic task. So this activity is crafted to help you improve this skill a bit more and build more of a structure. So a position paper, it simply outlines a delegation's past actions and current stances on a specific topic. So having a well-written position paper will help as the process ensures you to do research on your topics. And so therefore you engage better in the debate as you know exactly what you're going to talk about. And it'll also help you with your debate with the other delegates, and people will think that you have more knowledge, and it will help you create a better atmosphere for yourself. So whilst doing the research for your position paper, as I said before, you shouldn't only research your country, but you should also research other countries, so that way you gain insight in other delegations' positions before the conference. So clearly doing research is essential before an MUN conference. And when you are presenting your position paper, you're actually trying to convince the other delegates that you have well-founded knowledge of the topic. And you're trying to develop an argument that persuades the other delegates that your policy is valid and defensible. And in order to build a strong argument, you should include some background information and evidence like facts, statistics, opinions, etc. But now you might be asking yourself, like, what do I actually need to include in my position paper? How do we structure it, right? So you would actually start by broadly introducing the topic and stating any areas of concern that your country believes to be of significance. And afterwards, you would expand on the issue. You would expand on your concerns and give specific detail explaining why your country believes that the concern is significant. And then you'll detail your country's position on the topic. Afterwards, you'll state the previous actions your country has taken and possible solutions which you might consider to pass in your resolution. And then if you have two topics during your MUN conference, you would repeat the structure, but in the end, just conclude trying to convince all the other delegates to agree with your country's opinion. And don't forget to end your opening speech, your position paper, with this delegate yields the floor back to the chair. And another key point to remember at this point is that you're not allowed to use any personal pronouns, for example, I or we, but instead you should use the delegate of, for example, the delegate of the USA or this delegate, etc. Yeah, so in order to help you understand the structure more, I'm gonna first give you some helpful tips on when you write it. And then afterwards, I'll provide an example so you can see what it actually looks like. Okay, so this will help you out with your position paper. You should note that you have your time constraints and to ensure that it matches your conference's time constraints. Usually each conference has a bit of a different time constraint for the opening speech, but it's usually around 1 minute. Yeah, so you should try to keep it concise and make sure it's around half a page to a full page. And you should also include statistics, as I mentioned before, in order to back up your country's position on the issue. You should ensure that it's organized well, maybe provide each point with a separate paragraph to make it clear for yourself. When you say it, it'll help you emphasize your points better. You should try to keep it simple, and in order to communicate effectively, you would try to avoid flowery wording and stick to simple language. You should always practice your position paper before so you can provide a more fluent delivery and time yourself to ensure that you're fitting into the time constraints. And you should also think about your body language. How are you standing? Have you crossed your arms? Are you shifting on your feet? You should make sure that your body language is appropriate for the MUN conference and ensure that it's actually emphasizing your point. And you should also consider your volume, the tone. Maybe you should change it at certain times to emphasize your point a bit better. And you should always maintain eye contact with the delegates in the room. I've also included a short list of things you would consider mentioning or thinking about in your actual position paper. And yeah, it's quite simplistic. You just have the introduction and then the history concerning the topic, how the issue affects your country, its past policies on the issue and justifications for this, maybe some quotes from your leaders, the country's leaders, the statistics to back up your point, the past action taken by your government, any resolutions that has been passed before, the UN action that your country has supported or opposed, what your country believes should be done, what your country would like to accomplish, maybe some counter arguments to build your argument a bit better, and how the positions of other countries could affect your country's position. So while writing a position paper it could be quite a simplistic task. It can be a bit hard to actually find the right research. So like I said before about the research, I just listed a few of the sources which might help you with your research. So these are just a few: the CIA World Factbook page, speeches at the UN, official government website, the UN Permanent Mission, BBC Timeline, and the IMUNA country profile. These are just a few sources. Obviously, there's other sources which are really helpful, but yeah, these are just a few standard ones. And yeah, here's the position paper that I said that I provided for a sample. I'll just be outlining the structure here. This is only about one topic, and so that way, that's why it's relatively shorter compared to the other position papers. And usually it should be around half a page to a full page, again, like depending on your conference's guidelines. So this is a position paper for the Human Rights Council about the use of torture in criminal interrogation procedures as a delegate of the USA. I'm just going to leave you a minute to read it. Put a timer. Well, for the question that was asked before, I'm not sure when it was asked, but it depends on the actual conference, like I said, but it's usually around 1 minute. I've been to some that's been 1.5 minutes. So yeah, it depends on your conference's guidelines. Does the delegate take the side of your problem? Does the delegate take the side of the country's government? Yeah, so you're representing your country during the conference. Oh, sorry, the timer's up if everyone had the chance to read. The delegate takes the side of the government, so that way, so they're saying your opinion as if you were the delegate of that country. Okay, so I'm just gonna go quickly through the structure of it, like I said. So first we start by greeting the honorable chair and fellow delegates, as you can see with this sentence, and then we start with with an actual greeting, which is shown in the green. And then afterwards in yellow, you can see there's a short, brief introduction about the issue, and it mentions some statistics about it and explains the concerns, shown in yellow, like I said. And then afterwards, we continue with the past actions and solutions, and this is shown in pink. And then later we conclude and encourage the other delegates to go in favor of the resolution and encourage fruitful debate, and that's in blue. Okay. So we're all as delegates, can I, okay, is it okay if I answer this after we watch the video, and then we'll continue to questions? Sorry. So we're just going to be watching someone do opening speech, and you should note like their language in it. It's a strong position paper. It's about it's DPRK. Okay. Should be okay.
Honorable Presidents and Chairs, esteemed delegates and guests, dear comrades. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea, with its supreme leader Kim Jong-un, has had enough. No one should tell the DPRK about freedom of speech. We grant all our citizens the right to speak freely, as long as it does not harm the motherland and its supreme leader. No one should tell the DPRK about our nuclear missile program. We are not like Saddam Hussein. We are not like Gaddafi. But we know what the West did to them when they abandoned their nuclear programs. No one should tell the DPRK about human rights. Our people is free. Our nation is prosperous. Our future is bright. The DPRK, with its supreme leader, is willing to have constructive dialogue with any nation that is not denying the success of our great nation. But the delegation of the DPRK will not serve as a scapegoat for the problems that the US are causing around the world. We ask you all to not be presumptuous about our nation and supreme leader, but to, in the spirit of the UN, find a solution for the world and not to look for problems in the DPRK where there are none. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so wait, let me just pause. Yeah, you can see that he emphasizes points very well with the body language, as we noted before. And yeah, that was a really strong opening speech. And now I'll be taking any questions on the position papers. Let me just read the one from before. As delegate, can I decide what the country I'm representing wants, or you should look at the present government, and you should see like what their views are, because you're taking the role of the government. So you should look at their past actions, and any solutions that would be appropriate for that actual country. In the above example, would the delegate decide whether the USA wants to retract forces from Iraq or not? Or would he look at the government to find itself? Yes, it'd look at the government side. You're representing one country, so you should ensure that everything you're saying isn't your views, but it's the country representing's views, which might be a bit annoying at times. But yeah. If the government of the country representing is chaotic and unorganized and corrupt and does nothing right, what do you do? Well, you're representing the country, so you would have to represent everything that they're saying and pretend that you think that it's okay. It's a bit hard to do, but you would have to say like that. You would have to give a reason for why everything is, like the guy did. If you had a case where, for example, Democrats versus Republicans had different foreign policy, do you just present the current policy? Yeah, you present the current policy, the one that the current country's government is representing. Regarding the solutions, am I just supposed to mention the solutions taken by the government, or should I suggest you can take from the government as well, but for example, the resolution, you should suggest some solutions that are along your country's policies, and as long as it matches what your country's policies are like, then it's a good idea to be creative, because MUN is all about creativity. Yeah. Suppose the government doesn't want to withdraw troops, even though it's the right thing to do. What would you do? You're representing the country, so you have to pretend that you think it's the right thing to do, even if you don't think it is. If the government thinks it is, then technically you think it is. Yeah. I believe she said you have to pretend not withdrawing troops. Yeah. Would you recommend stating your sources and quotes in the introduction? I would not. I never do. I just say the statistics, because it's a really short time, and technically you're representing the country, so technically as the delegate you would know this information either way. So I wouldn't source them. If it's a quote, you would say that this person said this though. But if it's like a statistics, for example, I would not. But if it's a quote, then then you can say, like, yeah. Can your ally country yield you their time? Yes. Yeah, I've seen it done before. Yes, you can yield the floor. Instead of saying this delegate yields the floor back to chair, you'd say this delegate yields the floor back to China, or the delegate of China, or whatever country it is. What does yielding exactly mean? Yielding basically means that you're providing the chair to, you're providing the floor to the chair. Like when you say the delegate yields the floor back to the chair, it means that the room is theirs again. Like after you say yield the floor back to the chair, you sit back down and you just, yeah. So it's not you talking anymore, basically, if that makes sense. Can they yield their time in moderated caucuses? At Harvard MUN, it was only GSL. Sorry, what is GSL? I'm not familiar with Harvard MUN. General speakers list. Yeah. Can they yield the floor their time in moderated caucuses? I think it kind of depends on your chair, because a lot of chairs are very flexible. In MUN, for the ones I've been to, at least in Thailand, they like to have fun, and it's very creative. So they can yield their time to another delegate. For example, after a resolution is being said, you can say, oh, after you finish your fourth speech, you can say this delegate yields the floor to this delegate to say the fourth speech, which is more like a debate moderate. A debate would be moderated caucus, not unmoderated. Moderated caucus is you have to maintain decorum. I think yeah, that's correct. Ashna, sorry, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm going to attend Global Youth MUN the first week of August. I suggest that for Yumna, I hope I'm pronouncing it correct, I'm sorry. I suggest that you just follow the structure that I'm teaching now. I'm showing in this workshop now, and just make sure you have confidence in yourself. And yeah, it should be fine because everyone's very welcoming in MUN. Go back to your presentation, take questions. Yeah, okay. I'm going to keep going now. Every delegate have an opening speech. Yes, every delegate has an opening speech. How many speeches are we supposed to give? Only one opening speech. Okay, I'm going to move on to terminology now. So the MUN terminology is very simplistic. It's basically a point of personal privilege is when the delegate experiences personal discomfort which impairs him or her ability to follow the proceedings. A point of clarification is when there's you need a clear explanation of the meaning of the words or the phrases in the operative clauses. Point of information is when is a request for information from the speaker regarding a delegate's viewpoints or information pertaining to the resolution. So you would say, can the delegate please explain ... A point of order is when a delegate would like to make a complaint about improper parliamentary procedures of the chairs or the delegates. And a point of parliamentary inquiry is when you have a question about the parliamentary procedures. So the delegate would answer this in accordance to the rules of procedure. And then a motion to extend points of information is when a delegate feels that there's more discussion needed about a resolution. And then request follow-up is when a delegate wants further information on the same point. And then after you do your resolution, you'll also have to write a for speech and against speech. And that's just when one is supporting the resolution or one is disagreeing with the solution. Yeah. And an amendment is simply something that you would, there's a written statement that adds or deletes or changes an operative clauses in a draft resolution. It's used usually to strengthen an agreement of a resolution by allowing delegates to change the operative clauses. So they can either be friendly or unfriendly. Friendly is when the original submitter accepts it, and unfriendly is when it does not accept it. Okay, I'm just going to be moving on from terminology if that's okay. Let me just look through the questions. Yeah, hopefully you guys can answer each other's questions. And I'll go through that afterwards. I'll explain afterwards, sorry. We don't have that much time left. So we'll be moving on to writing resolutions. So a resolution is simply a statement made by different committees expressing their desire to change a certain situation and prescribing some solutions by which it can be done. And these solutions should be realistic economically and politically. You're debating and adopting resolutions, and that is the main activity of an MUN conference. So it is one very long sentence divided into clauses, and it indicates what the problem is and how to solve or work towards solving it. It shows how your country thinks about a topic. It reflects your policy statement with more depth. So resolutions are the base for a discussion. It is a tool to achieve an agreement or compromise between the member states on a certain issue. And so it must concern not only your country, but the entire international community. You should remember at MUN conference, the resolutions should not go into specifics on financing, as you're assuming that the UN has unlimited funding for the sake of debate. But this is unless you're in ECOSOC. In that case, you can talk about financing. So a resolution concerns one issue and has a strict format, which we will now be focusing on. So in order to help this, I'll be going through a joke resolution, which is the rightful rights to Kim Jong-un concerning the refugees. So first you start with a heading and you include your committee name, the question of the main submitter, the co-submitters, and the co-sponsors. So main submitter is the one who writes most of the resolution, and it's one that the topic question affects the most. And a co-submitter is one that is in favor of the resolution that's being debated. And in order for a resolution to be passed, a certain amount of co-submitters are needed, and that's a minimum of 8. And a co-sponsor is simply one who wants to have the debate on the resolution, but is not in favor or against the resolution. So after this, they would just address the forum, which in this case is the Economic and Security Council Committee. And then there's different sections Okay, I don't think we're gonna have enough time because we have till 9:45. If anyone want to ask more questions about the preambulatory and operative clauses, I can explain that after. I can provide you my email or my Instagram to contact me, but I think it'd be fun to end with the Kahoot if everyone's okay. But first I can answer some questions actually, if we have time. Okay, just every delegate have to write a resolution. A resolution is written in a group, so yeah, you would write it together as a part of the group. Can we have a copy of the PowerPoint? Yeah, of course. I don't know how to provide it to you guys. Would you guys? I'll write my email in the chat box.
Sorry to interrupt, Emily. But if you get it across to the MUN admin team, then they'll be able to send it out to us in an email.
Okay. Yeah, I'll contact them and I can provide you with the copy of the PowerPoint. Thank you. Click share button and put link. Oh, okay. Wait. Should I just share it? Okay. Wait. I'll put the link of the PowerPoint. I hope that would work. Yeah, I'll do that later. How many countries are there? It depends on the conference. It depends on the committee. Sorry. Usually there's like a significant amount, like maybe around 15, maybe a bit more. Do you create a block during the unmoderated time? And the block is all like people who would relate to you, like to your views. Oh, I can. Are there any other questions? Bigger blocks or smaller blocks, which are better? That's a good question. I personally think maybe smaller blocks are better because you can interact better with the people and everyone's involved, because a lot of times it's hard to involve everyone. How much do you recommend we prepare for before the conference aside from research? Like, should we prepare possible? I would say possible clauses is a good idea because it would help you. Hopefully that one, the link works, by the way. The clauses would help you a lot. Like for the resolution, we didn't actually have time to go through that, but it's all in the PowerPoint. And if you go through the speaker's note, I wrote down everything that I would write. A clause just shows everything that your views are on. Here, this is an operative clause, so it just asks for action, and it says exactly what the delegate would like to do, like concerning the clause, like what is a solution. We need access for the link. You may click share. Oh, I know it. If I make it public to everyone. How many topics should we include in the opening speech? All the topics that are mentioned that are, yeah. Okay. We still need access to slideshow. Yeah. Can you guys try now? Yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, I can see everyone is on it. Okay. Do you guys have any more questions? You can obviously look through it after words if you want. We can do a Kahoot, or if there's any more questions, then that's okay too. Would you guys like to do a Kahoot, or would you like to ask more questions? Okay, we'll do a Kahoot. And if you never attended a debate, it should be okay because everyone's very welcoming, to be honest. And just try to be confident and try to say as much as you can. No, okay, I'll start the Kahoot now. Okay, can you guys join the code? We have like 4 minutes, so we should hurry up. Oh, and if you guys would like to follow me on Instagram, I'd like that. Am I allowed to do it? Okay, that's my Instagram. Oh wait, sorry, I wrote it private. How do I change? Okay, can you guys join the, yeah, okay. You just go on kahoot.com and then sorry, Kahoot.it, and then you type in the link. Oh my god, yeah, we're gonna need a speed run, to be honest. I'll type it in the chat if anyone.
Where's the link?
It's just Kahoot.it. You type in Kahoot.it and then you put in this code. I'm trying to type it, but I don't know how to change it. It's a K, not C. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Okay. Hi. Oh, sorry. I got a private text. Okay, I'm gonna start it if that's okay, because we have 2 minutes. Sorry, I didn't realize it would be this short. Okay.
Started.
Okay, thank you. Oh, and if anyone would like to join last minute, then the code is at the bottom. Yeah. I'm gonna do it very quickly because we have 1 minute exactly. Okay. Good job, guys. Okay. It's a point of inquiry because it's about the parliament. It's about the procedure, point of parliamentary inquiry. This one we'll skip because we didn't actually have time to go through it. Sorry about that. We'll just do, this will be the last question because we don't have time and I'd like to say goodbye to everyone. Okay, I'm not sure how to actually end it early.
If you once this question's gone through, if you press end quiz on the bottom right of the screen, that should work.
End quiz at the, oh, thank you, sorry. I'm not very good at technology, apparently. Okay. Good job, guys. I'm glad you guys got something in the short time that we had. Good job, Jazz. How do I end screen?
Thank you for the workshop.
I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. It was
really nice.
Thank you.
informative.
Yeah, thank you. It's really useful. We want more. Thank you. So generous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Emily,
Thank
it's
you.
Alt S if you'd like to stop screen sharing.
I'm not sure how to.
Alt S on your keyboard.
Alt S.
Okay. If not, can you see the can you see like a bar
Oh.
coming out of Zoom? So if you click on that, it should allow you to like it should give you the option to stop screen sharing.
A bar, sorry?
Near
I don't
the top
quite
of the
know how to
screen, there'll be a
explain it.
bar. On that, the green
Pardon?
button will be stop share, right?
So can you see a kind of a bar that says you're sharing your screen? Then you can see a red button next to it.
Oh, I
saying
see, I
stop
see.
screen
I
share.
see.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Anyways,
Okay.
I think we
Thank
all have
you.
to leave now. So
Okay.
thank you so
all
much.
for joining. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.